What's up, YouTube? It's Big Ryan, the Fat Guy, coming at you with the NFL picks against the spread video for Week 18, the final regular season week of the 23-24 NFL season. Happy 2024 to you guys. Big Ryan, the Fat Guy, for last year, we are 129, 121, and 6. It was 6 and 10 last week. Not our best week, but hey, they can't all be winners. On to a shorter version of Week 18. All right, guys, Big Ryan, the Fat Guy's picks against the spread for Week 18. You can see the entire list here. I've got a different setup this week. We're going to just go over each team and kind of talk about if they have anything to play for or not. And we're going to start off with that Pittsburgh at Baltimore. You can see for the pick, I've taken Pittsburgh minus 3.5. Pittsburgh Steelers play Baltimore, and they still have a chance to make the playoffs. They need to win, and they need either Buffalo to lose, Jacksonville to lose, or tie. And then a Houston-Indy game could finish as a tie as well, or it's a Pittsburgh tie. Essentially, if Buffalo or Jacksonville loses and Pittsburgh wins, they are in. So they have something to play for. Baltimore, I believe they have clinched. Yep, the AFC North Division title, #1 seed, lone first round bye, and home field advantage. So Baltimore's locked in. Baltimore shouldn't be playing anyone, any of their significant players, any significant snaps. So it's going to be a skeleton crew for Baltimore. Pittsburgh needs to win this game to have a chance to make the playoffs. Still, I don't know. We can look over there. We got the Jacksonville game. They're minus 4.5, as well as Buffalo, I believe. Yeah, they're 3-point favorites for that final night game on Sunday night. So it's going to be tough for Pittsburgh to make it in with these things, but they just need either Jacksonville or Buffalo to lose, and they need to win, which can still happen. In the picks contest, I will take Pittsburgh minus 3.5. Now on to the Houston at Indy game. Houston +1 is my pick. Houston at Indy. Houston clinches the AFC South Division title with a win, and if Jacksonville loses, and they can clinch a playoff berth by beating Indy, or there's also the crazy scenario if Houston ties, Jacksonville loses, and Pittsburgh loses or ties. So essentially, if Houston wins, they're in, and if Jacksonville loses, Houston could still finish with the AFC South Division title. And then for Indy clinches the AFC South title with a win and a Jacksonville loss, or a tie and a Jacksonville loss, which is unlikely. And then Indy clinches a playoff berth with a win, or if Indy ties and Pittsburgh loses or ties. So essentially, this one's a win and you're in. If Houston wins, they're in. If Indy wins, they're in. I just like Houston. I think they're a better team. CJ Stroud is back. Hopefully he is going to be playing again next week. I just think Houston's the better team. But this will be one of the more exciting games, the Saturday evening game. But go Houston. For Cleveland at Cincy, I've got Cincy minus 4.5. Cleveland has a playoff berth. They're in. They are locked in. It doesn't say what seed, but they're in the playoffs. And then for Cincinnati, I believe Cincinnati has officially been eliminated. So this is one of those games where, Cincy might still play some players, but I expect both sides not to take this game too seriously. So it's a quick pick. Cincy minus 4.5. I definitely would not be betting that game. On to Tampa Bay at Carolina. I've got Tampa Bay minus 5.5 in the contest. Tampa Bay clinches the NFC South with a win, or a tie and a New Orleans loss or tie. So essentially Tampa Bay wins and they clinch the NFC South. Tampa Bay clinches a playoff berth with a tie, a Seattle loss, and a Green Bay loss or tie. So essentially this game means a lot to Tampa. They need to win this one. So I will take Tampa Bay and the spread at minus 5.5. And then obviously Carolina has locked up the #1 overall pick, which they have already traded to the Bears. So congratulations to the Chicago Bears on that great trade. It really worked out for them well. And then next up, New York Jets at New England. I've got New England minus 2.5. Neither team has anything to play for, and I will just take the Pats as the home favorites. And then next up, Sunday's Minnesota at Detroit game. I've got Detroit minus 5.5. The Minnesota Vikings can clinch a playoff berth with a win, but they need help from Green Bay and Seattle. They need losses from both of those games, and either a Tampa Bay loss or a New Orleans loss. So Minnesota looks pretty unlikely, but they still have a little bit in their control with winning against Detroit. And Detroit has already clinched the NFC North division title. There may be a seeding type of arrangement that could change based off of if they win or lose. I got a feeling there is, because they are 5.5 point favorites. And if they weren't going to be playing anyone locked into a seed, they probably would already, this line would be a lot different. But for the contest, I will take Detroit minus 5.5, and it's a game I probably would stay away from as far as betting's concerned. Jacksonville at Tennessee, as we've said in the few other, like the Houston-Indy game, and there might have been another game, but Jacksonville needs to win to clinch the AFC South Division title. It is in their hands. They will clinch a playoff berth, however, if they tie and Pittsburgh loses or ties, but essentially Jacksonville needs to win, and they will win the division, and they will be in the playoffs. So I will take Jacksonville minus 4.5. Next up, Atlanta at New Orleans. I've got Atlanta plus 4. The Falcons can clinch the NFC South Division title with a win and a Tampa Bay Buccaneers loss. And the Saints can clinch the NFC South Division title with a win and a Tampa Bay loss or tie. And then there's a few other scenarios. They can also clinch a playoff berth with a win, a Seattle loss or tie, and a Green Bay loss or tie. So keep an eye out on those games. But for the contest, I will take Atlanta plus 4. So for Dallas at Washington, I've taken the Commanders plus 13.5 in the contest. For Dallas, they can clinch the NFC East division title with a win, or a tie and a Philly tie, or a Philly loss. So essentially, if Dallas wins, they're in. If Philly loses, Dallas is also going to clinch the NFC East division title. But either way, Dallas is in the playoffs, and the Commanders have been mathematically eliminated. But the spread's too high, so I'm going to take Washington in the contest, plus 13.5. And then for the Kansas City at LAC game, LAC minus 1 is my pick. Kansas City has clinched the AFC West division title. They're most likely going to be sitting players. It's going to be a lot of backups playing in this game, Kansas City at LAC. I'll just take the Chargers. It's essentially a glorified preseason game. And then for Denver at Las Vegas, this is a game where both teams have already been eliminated. I'm just going to take the Raiders minus 2.5 at home. Next up, LA Rams at San Fran. The Rams I've taken at plus 5.5. And the LA Rams have already clinched a playoff berth, and San Fran has the number 1 seed, the NFC West division title, the lone first round bye, and home field advantage in the NFC. So I will take the Rams, considering that San Fran is probably going to be resting players for that game. But the Rams will probably be resting guys too. It's just one of those games where I'm going to take it because there's so many points for the Rams. Philly at the New York Giants. I've got Philly minus 5. Philly clinches the NFC East division title with a win and a Dallas loss, or a tie and a Dallas loss. So Philly needs to win this one. They also need to hope that Dallas somehow gets upset by the Commanders, even though it is very unlikely at that 13.5 point spread. But for the contest, I'm on Philly minus 5. And then for Chicago at Green Bay, I've taken Green Bay minus 3. Chicago has been eliminated. Green Bay can clinch a playoff berth with a win, so this game is important for them. And then there's a bunch of other scenarios where they can tie, or there needs to be a bunch of other teams that loses. I'm not going to go over it. It's boring. If Green Bay wins, they're in, and that's what's important. So I will take the Packers minus 3. For the Seattle at Arizona game, I've got Arizona plus 3, even though Seattle can clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Green Bay loss or tie. There's other scenarios where Seattle could tie and still make it in with the help of other teams. But the most important one is if Seattle wins and Green Bay loses or ties to the Bears, Seattle still has a chance of clinching one of those wild card spots. But for the contest, Arizona plus 3. And then Sunday Night Football, Buffalo at Miami. Miami plus 3 is my choice, but Buffalo can clinch the AFC East division with a win. They can also clinch a playoff berth with a tie, a Pittsburgh loss, a Jacksonville loss, or a Houston-Indy tie. But the most important thing for Buffalo is if they win, they're in, and they are 3-point favorites on the road, taking that into consideration. And then for the Miami Dolphins, I've taken them plus 3 with a win or a tie in this game. They clinch the AFC East division, so there's no starters going to be rested in this Bills Miami Dolphins game, and I'm not 100% sure why the line is like this. I might be missing something, but look into this line before you make any bets. For me in the contest, with no skin in the game, I'm going to take the Dolphins +3. So very quickly, I'll just run through it again. Pittsburgh -3.5 on the road. Houston +1. Cincy -4.5. Tampa Bay -5.5. New England -2.5. Detroit -5.5. Jacksonville -4.5. Atlanta +4. Commanders +13.5. Chargers -1. Raiders -2.5. Rams +5.5. Philly -5. Green Bay -3. Arizona +3. And Miami +3. For the final week in the contest. And then congratulations to Casone going 12-4 in week 17. He is the clear-cut leader against the spread. Week 17. Congratulations, Casone. Not a stranger to being in the top spot, and he's back there again. And as we can see here is all of the week 17 picks against the spread leaderboard. Casone 12-4, good for 75%. We also have not Carnival Personnel at 11-5. Wook Dog and Snake Bitten at 10-6, and then a plethora of people there at 9-7 and 8-8. Congrats, guys, on the strong week at the very top of that leaderboard. And we've got a little bit of a shakeup here on the overall leaderboard. Hogaboom or Bust and Mickey are now tied outright at 147, 103, and 6, 58.8%. They're going to need a very, very strong week 18 to beat that 60% mark that they've been chasing. And Fat Guy's best friend is pretty hot on their tail too, 58%, just 2 wins behind. It's going to be a race between those 3 guys unless Wook Dog or Shiv Picks can have the absolute monster week. And I just got to give a shout out to Wook Dog, 140 wins in 243 games. That is absolutely incredible. The winner percentage wise, even though he missed a week. But congratulations, Wook Dog. Very, very strong. And congratulations to everyone else. Everyone here, 53.4% or above. Nothing to be ashamed about. Very, very strong. Very, very good picks all season, guys. Congratulations. And the JS705 name of the week, Concussion Protocol. The 2 words that you do not want to hear together. Remember, guys, you can make your picks against spread for week 18 at BigRyanTheFatGuy.com. Thank you again for watching, and good luck with your picks in week 18.